What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait Where We Talk About podcast, episode 80. My name is Bret, aka Enigma 9011, and I'm looking forward to talking with you guys today, or talking to you, with you. Let's go with you about some wide variety of topics today. If you guys ever want to catch the podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every first and third, actually every other Saturday, not first and third anymore, every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join in the chat, join on the conversation. We'd love to have you. If you guys can't catch it live, you can always catch it over on YouTube and SoundCloud the following week as it's posted topic by topic and as one big video and MP3 the following Friday. Last but not least, remember, merch store. You can get all of your swag over there, t-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Blah, 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 blah. Man, rough intro today. Represent the brand. Rep it. Help us out. It would be greatly appreciated. So yes, flying solo once again, doing 10 out of 10 job with the words. But hopefully it smooths out from here on out. So like I said, variety of topics today. I'm going to jump right on into it. I want to talk about the new hockey season. Started this week. Just wanted to touch on it quickly. The general overview of the changes that are happening this year, and then talk a little about those Avalanche boys. So yeah, it started Wednesday. It was the start of the season. They're doing a shortened season, doing 56 games. They got different divisions. I believe there's four divisions now. Excuse me, 3 for the United States, 1 for Canada. So trying to limit the spread, or the exposure, maybe I should say that, of the virus. And yeah, they are jam-packing this schedule. Jeez, okay, so 56 games in their divisions. So I believe there are 5 teams per division. So they're playing each other team at least 10 times. It's nuts. As of Wednesday when it dropped, Avalanche have played twice, and they've played the same team Wednesday and Friday. It was interesting. That means overall with this quicker schedule, it means less time to rest, less time to practice. Obviously, travel is not as big of a thing, so maybe the resting portion will be better. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. My concerns with the shorter schedule, obviously, injuries. I mean, injuries happen all the time in sports, but I'm concerned with how quick and compact the schedule is going to be, how it's going to affect the players with less rest time, less practice time. Like, how are they going to be able to deal with said things? And obviously, if they get an injury, it's probably going to be a bigger impact because you're not going to have that rest or that break in between to come back for the next game maybe, or come back 2 or 3 games down the road. It might be bigger, not necessarily a bigger absence in time because it's still all the same, but it's more relative because obviously the games are quicker in succession, I guess, if that makes sense. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out for the health of the players. Practice wise, I mean, hopefully they've been doing their camps and stuff off season, so hopefully that doesn't take too much of an effect. I think the only effect it could be, or a factor it could be, is just like adjusting your game plan, especially with them matching up against these teams so many times in rapid succession. Like if you don't do well in a certain game, or maybe a certain aspect is just lacking, just kind of like picking up the slack and the pieces you need to, and maybe adjusting your game plan. I don't know if that will be as efficient, maybe, with the less practice time. Also, with them potentially similar to Avalanche playing the same team within a 3-day span, like you don't have the length of time necessary to get things down. Like if you needed to defend differently and wanted to try a different style, like you don't have that big gap in between. Okay, we played them today and we don't play them for another month and a half or something, or however it works. It's a very quick turnaround that they all have to do for these games. So it's going to be an interesting season overall. I mean, exciting in the fact of like the amount of games we're going to see. I mean, from a fan perspective, at least, like obviously there's going to be action quite often. Won't be as big of gaps in the week for us on there. But yeah, I don't know. Another thing, small change, presentation change, I guess, that they're doing is they're tracking different stats now. So they're tracking how fast they hit the puck into the net, and they're tracking, I think it was skate distance, so distance skated per game. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to track that one, but interesting. Something for the fans, I guess, to change up and mix up. Only the teams are traveling, along with the coaching staff, obviously, announcers, all that stuff are not. They're staying put, so they'll be doing digital online, like, broadcasting from their respective stadiums. So they're trying to really limit as much as they can and play it safe with what they're doing. So that's good. Obviously, they couldn't do an entire season in a bubble. That would have been interesting. Like, we talked about it, I think last time we talked about it on the podcast. I think we kind of talked about our thoughts and ideas of how maybe to do that. Or maybe it was just a stream. I don't remember. But it would have been obviously real tough because you're just telling everybody, okay, move over here, stay away from families and lives and all of that for however long just to play hockey, which, I mean, they're getting paid for it, so there's that. But it would have been very tough and a big ask. So I think it's smart, the adjustments of, like I said, the divisions and how they're planning on doing it. I don't know. I'm curious why they felt the need to compress the schedule too. Maybe just to try and limit, once again, the exposure, or I don't know. Maybe I'd have to ask my hockey expert, but she's busy. Oh, wait, maybe not. When do they normally start the hockey season?
October?
It is October. Okay, so they are starting way later than normal.
They're starting way later.
Okay, so that explains the compressed. I don't know. Maybe like like I said, once again, going back to the rapid succession of games, like if they felt they needed to, because they're starting so late, obviously you need numbers, so you could just do a shorter season altogether. I don't know. Maybe, I don't, like, there's always some way they can math it out. Obviously with standings, like these teams go on, these teams don't. Like, I don't know. I just hope it doesn't bite them in the ass with the rapid succession of games and the amount in a short period of time. And I guess obviously they started late. One, because, I mean, last season ended late with the whole COVID and pushing it back. So maybe they're just trying to give everybody a respective amount of time to obviously do their camps, but to rest up and recoup. So it was either that or scheduling that they pushed it back so far. So we'll see. I assume next season, as long as everything's back in normalcy, hopefully, things will go back, divisions will go back, etc. We'll have the 82 games or whatever they play and spread it out. But we'll see. If not, at least they have this method or this schedule to go off of next year. And obviously, similar to anything, they can kind of tweak it. This worked well, this didn't work well. Maybe they add more games, or ever they start earlier but still do the same amount of games to kind of give more gap in between. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out and how the players enjoy it. So moving on to the Avalanche. The Colorado Avalanche had a couple of moves. I think we had 2 or 3 players leave. We got 2 big acquisitions. One guy from the Islanders, and I don't know where the other one came from. But they seem like they fit and gel pretty well based on the 2 games that I did. Well, I watched one game and got updates on the other one. But from what I've seen, it seems like they gel pretty well into the existing group. So that's good. It's not no growing pains from what I can tell. My boy Grubauer's back, so that's good. I was a little nervous about that. Hadn't heard his name in the offseason at all. So I was like, ooh, did we let him go? What happened? But no, we kept them. We kept McKinnon. We kept McCarr. Kept Landeskog. Kept a good core group. I think we only Burakovsky's still there. I can't remember who we lost. Might be I don't know. But he's on. There was a team that also played Wednesday. I think it was Chicago. Yeah, that team unfortunately was not doing well. I think Tampa Bay crushed them. But yeah, the game on Wednesday, everything looked good. Unfortunately, they lost. We only scored 1 goal. And then Friday, they absolutely dominated. It was like 8-0 for a shutout. So that was insane. Getting the messages from Kate every time they scored. Like, please stop. They're already dead. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's only 2 games in. It's going to be hard to kind of hard to tell where the team places right now. Obviously, we've had good games in the past, and absolute terrible ones. So my big hope for the Avalanche is, like, obviously Friday was a good game. Hopefully it wasn't just a flash in the pan. You know, they've had games like that where it's like, oh, they do really great in the playoffs for this one game, and then all of a sudden, like, it's just the total opposite of the coin, and they just stink, and it's terrible, and you hate it, but we'll see. Team's 2-0 last year. Last year was bad. Nice. What team are you cheering for their Hard FX? But yeah, right now we're 1-1 with Avalanche. I don't know when the next game is. I'm assuming maybe Monday, but it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. I know they were flying out to California to face a couple of those teams, so hopefully being away doesn't affect them too much. Caps, okay, cool. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, it's a lot of different changes, especially with the time. So it's interesting. Once again, my biggest fear is just everybody's gonna get hurt or something's gonna happen and whatever. But that's all we can hope for is everybody stays happy and healthy. We took a big shot Wednesday, just right in the first period. One of our new guys, he's fine, but the other guy, like, because it was such a malicious hit, he's got suspended for 2 games. So idiot. Hopefully everybody stays okay. Because yeah, obviously, you know, you want your best players out there, and that's the same for the opponent too. Like, I don't know, I'd rather watch an entertaining game than just like, oh, we swept the floor, you know, kind of thing. So we'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on this season's hockey, and just excited to watch more. Excited to be back in the swing of things. Like I said, I think it's smart with what they're doing with the divisions and with the staying in areas to, you know, kind of get those games out of the way instead of obviously traveling left, right, center all the time and going wherever. Playoffs are going to be interesting too. I think it's top 2 teams from each division and then going from there. Still sounds like they're still doing the 7 games, so I assume they'll rebubble once they get to playoff time, and go from there. Because I mean, last season worked so well. I don't think they had any issues compared to other sports and how they were dealing with it. So I have faith that NHL will be fine or handle it fine once it comes to that time, if they need to rebubble once it gets out there. Sports music game keeping me sane right now. Rona ain't it? Yeah, that's for a lot of people. You know, you need those escapes. I mean, obviously a lot of sports have come back, but that was a big thing with me in wrestling. Wrestling kept on. Wrestling was an escape. Obviously content creation, like watching people's streams and whatnot, that was an escape. So it's good that we're seeing more of that with either hockey, like we're talking now, or basketball or football. Like, my main thing, as long as everybody's staying safe, which I know we've had a couple of things that are like, maybe not, then cool. Glad they can do that. Hopefully, you know, with the vaccine and all that stuff, we can keep moving in a positive direction, but also it's going to be a while. It's going to take some time to get back to quote unquote normal. So we'll see. So yeah, just quick thoughts on the hockey season. Moving on to topic 2, I want to talk a little Pokemon. With you guys and kind of gush about my feelings on Pokemon Sword. So Pokemon Sword came out a year, maybe 2 ago, and we're just getting to it. Kate and I have been playing quite a bit. It's been fun kind of just chilling and playing together, either just, multiplayer literally or playing on the same couch and just kind of hanging out and talking it over. But it's been a blast playing Pokemon Sword. Nice nostalgia trip. I know I've kept talking about like, oh, I want to play, but then it's do you really want to sink all that time into it kind of thing, like an RPG. But I think Pokemon Sword had a nice balance of the old and the new, and it was interesting seeing how things adapted or changed over the years. So yeah, as of recording it right now, I think I have 70 to 80 hours into Pokemon Sword. I've beaten the main story, so the Elite Four, quote unquote, and the Champion. I still do have the post-game stuff, which I've started, but I've kind of been just doing my own thing. The Pokemans, indeed. So yeah, a lot of changes in this one. First things first that I really enjoyed, I think I've talked about it before, similar to Let's Go, they have the Pokemon walking around. Like, you can literally see them in the wild, and you can just run up to it, and that's engaging the battle, instead of the always mysterious just run in the grass and hope to God that you get something. I did enjoy that. It was just cool to see it's a more obviously living world. To have these Pokemon walking around, interacting with things and whatnot. So that was really cool. Nice little mechanic. The big open wild areas. I think there was only 2 of them, but those are cool. So it goes through like different environments and whatnot. And you can see different species walking around and, like I said, once again, interacting. But it's just a big open area, similar to the Savari zones in a way of the earlier games, just without the time limit. And you get a wide variety of different leveled Pokemon in there. So you could literally start your adventure, but run into a level 30, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. So it's cool how they kind of play with scale too, where the higher leveled Pokemon are usually bigger ones that you see walking around, evolved forms. So that was nice. Like I said, just seeing that living environment. Going off of old games, like I said, there was a lot of quality of life changes, and I don't know if this has changed in other games prior. My experience, mainly first game I played was Sword and Shield, so Silver and Gold, excuse me, Gen 2. Played a little bit of Gen 1, but that was kind of like a backtrack, and played that here and there. Gen 3 I put a lot of time in, didn't play 4. What was 5? 5 was Black and White. Played a little bit of that. Dove into X and Y when that came out. And then Sun and Moon I barely touched. So I obviously played a lot of this one. There was a lot of quality of life changes from Gen 2 and 3, which I put the most time into prior. Couple things, obviously, with there being 800 different Pokemon, leveling them all up and evolving them, that's going to take ages if you do it the old way, where only the people who participate get XP, or you have the XP share, obviously. By default, everybody gets XP in this game, whether you catch a Pokemon, which I know they added in Let's Go, or whether you fight. So it's nice to have that kind of, like I said, quality of life factor of just you're able to evolve and level these Pokemon up faster, quicker. So I do enjoy that. Another quality of life thing, I know they've messed around with this for a while, the TMs and HMs. So if you don't know, TMs and HMs in the original games were special moves that you could teach your Pokemon. They're usually the more powerful ones. HMs in the originals were your key moves: Fly, Surf, Flash, Strength, Rock Smash. These were moves that were tied into the map, so you had to have certain Pokemon know them so you could kind of progress through the map and these certain puzzles. Anybody could learn them. Well, not anybody. You could use that item as much as you want to teach those Pokemon. TMs were, once again, these more powerful moves, but you could only use it once. You could use it once, and then the item broke, or whatever the lore was. Over the years, they've kind of changed it. They made it so the TMs were also the same, where you could use them as much as you want. I think in this game they've added it back, so some of them were limited. You can only use it one and done. Those are called TRs, I think now. And then as for the HMs, these like special moves that dealt with the map, like they completely got rid of them in this game. Like they can still be used as moves. You can still learn strength. You can still learn rock smash and whatever. But early on in this game, you get the ability to fly through like a taxi system. So obviously anywhere you have already traveled, you get that fast travel ability. And then surf is done through your bike. Eventually you get a bike upgrade and you can go through the water. So that was interesting at first. I kept making the joke with Kate throughout the time we were playing it. It was like, oh, this is baby mode, just as a joke, not like trying to instigate or have it be a negative thought, but it was just like, wow, by comparison, like this is much easier than we had it. But then again, quality of life things. You have 800 of these things that if you really wanted to collect them all, that's going to take ages. Like your whole freaking life to get all this done. So like, I think it was smart to make these changes with the leveling and with the traversal. Like just once again, quality of life. I'm going to keep saying this 800 times, so I'm sorry. So there was that. Let's see, what else did they change? Something that they had in X and Y, which was on the 3DS, that I really enjoyed. So obviously trading was always a big thing for Pokemon. Either a certain Pokemon would only evolve during trading, or obviously you want to play with your friends. I know Charlie and I attempted to do it numerous times, especially for like the trade you guys to evolve them. They have the online component, so you can trade with people, set up a room if you want to, and then trade from there. But then they also, in X and Y, they had something called Wonder Trading. So the Wonder Trading makes its return in this one. It's essentially a gamble or a roulette, but you just choose one of your Pokemon. So, etc. I'll use Meowth because it's in chat. I don't want this Meowth. Boop, I'm going to put it in the machine. It goes out to the internet, and it just, whoever it links up with at that point, who also launched one into the sky, it will trade with them. And you don't know what you're going to get until you see it. So it could be something good, could be just a random squirrel that you see early on in the game, random Squovit. And it's just like, oh, come on. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun just playing that, like I said, that gambling game. There's people that I assume are hacking this game. I've gotten legendaries that are level 100 and shiny. I'm like, why? And then, like I said, there's been a bunch of times that I've gotten the Ratatats or the Squovits or just the generic, like you ran into this early on and you're just throwing it out there. But yeah, it's been fun running into something new or getting old starters or whatever. It's just a fun mechanic of like, hey, you don't want this? All right, you don't have to just release it and get nothing for it. You could throw it out there and have some fun with that. Unfortunately, an X and Y that didn't carry over, which I really enjoyed, was if you were looking for a very specific Pokemon. So let's say like I'm looking for a Squirtle. I could search it and I can look at everyone who's offering a Squirtle, who has a Squirtle. And if I meet their requirements, they ask for something too. So let's just keep it simple. I want a Charmander level 5. Okay, or just a Charmander, etc. If I have a Charmander, I can just trade with that person. But they don't have to be online at that time. It's like you put it up there and you leave it. You can play the game as is. You can obviously go away, do something else. If you got to go to work, you got to go to school, etc., whatever. It just stays there. It's just in the online cloud. So yeah, you just meet the requirements. You link up with them. You complete the trade, and you're good to go. So that was a nice thing. I think they got rid of it because a bunch of people were being very egregious with it. Like, oh, I'll give you this Zubat, but I want a Mewtwo. It's like, that's never going to happen. No one's going to do that. So, yeah, I think that's maybe been why the reason they took it out. But it was fun while it lasted. So unfortunately, that does not make its return in Sword and Shield. But I'm glad they kept the Wonder Trade and kept that mechanic, part of it, fun. In this one, they added Dynamax battles. So they got rid of Mega Evolutions. But essentially, usually it's during your gym battles, you can, if you have a strong enough relationship with your Pokemon, or a friendly enough one, you can Dynamax them. So they become like this giant skyscraper of a Pokemon and unleash these powerful moves for like 3 turns before they revert. That was a kind of fun mechanic. I think the more interesting part of it is the multiplayer aspect of it. In the wild areas, like I was talking before, it's a big open area. They add these things called dens, which, if a beam of light is popping out, means there's a kind of like a boss battle Pokemon in there. And you can either play it by yourself with CPUs, or you can play it with friends. So it kind of allows you and friends to battle against this Pokemon and kind of strategize and have some fun with that. So that's been a blast. Kate and I have done a lot of those together. And sometimes, like, they have unique Pokemon that you just don't see all the time. So you do have the opportunity to catch it. It'll go back down to its normal size. But it's just a fun, another way to play it, which has been a blast. Another thing that this game adds is DLC. It has a season pass, gotta get it separately, but the DLC that they've added has been a lot of fun. I haven't played too much of the latest one, which is I think it's Frozen Tundra is what it's called. But that provides a new challenge. It has its own story, similar to the first one. But all the Pokemon in that area are level 60 to 70. In Crown Tundra, which was the first DLC, it level scales to wherever you're at in the story. So personally, I bounced back and forth in between Crown Tundra and the main campaign. So each campaign added each DLC also added more Pokemon. They didn't have all of them at launch, which a lot of people were upset about. So it adds new Pokemon and obviously adds that story. So it was fun kind of bouncing back and forth, progressing each story, but also catching the newer Pokemon over there. Whether they're older ones or just discovering a new area. It was fun catching those as well and evolving them and having them on your team. Another quality of life thing, I talked about the flying and the surfing. For those of you guys who have played Pokemon and you want to switch your team, you always got to go to the Pokemon Center, go to the computer. You can still do that, but now you have the computer pretty much like a smartphone just in your pocket, and you can swap wherever you want. So that's just a time saver. Obviously, if you're like me at this point, just trying to fill your Pokedex or level up people, like swapping out your teams, who's in it, who's not, so you can level up everybody and get them evolved. Like, it's just so much easier than running to the town. Okay, switch it, run back. Obviously, not that big of a deal, but just a nice thing to have. I think the story overall in Sword and Shield was really good. It went fast. It might be just because, once again, the leveling system of how everybody gets XP for every battle. It makes that easy. So, yeah, there's that. I thought the story went quick. Like I said, I am done with all the gym battles. I think Kate has... she either has one more or she's on the last guy ready to go to the league. I don't remember. But that's been fun. It's been also interesting talking back and forth, being like, okay, what type is weak to this? What is it? That's a big thing, too, that I think also I don't know if they added, but is definitely an important aspect in this game is type advantage. Levels do come into play, but I don't feel like it's as big of a thing as in like previous gens, where if you're 5 levels over somebody, you deal your damage and most of the time you'd be able to get out of the way or make it work. This one, even if you have that bigger level advantage, if you don't have the types lined up, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be more difficult. So it was interesting kind of teaming up and talking about it here and there of like, okay, it was this one, you want this guy, you don't want this guy, etc., etc. So it was just fun. trying to think if there's anything else that really stuck out about this game. Like I said, the story was great. It was good. It was a lot of fun. Heart Effects asked earlier if it was my new favorite gen Pokemon. Favorite new gen Pokemon. From the series, like who's my favorite? Oh, okay, out of this Pokedex. I get you. Well, man, while I'm thinking about that, I think this game is definitely up there for Pokemon games for me. I don't know if anyone can ever beat Silver and Gold just because that's like the first experience with it. I don't know. Gen 3 was really special to me too. That was a lot of fun. Ruby and Sapphire. Man, I don't know. It's tough. I don't know if it's a second place and it kicks Gen 3 out of the way or if it's third. But it was a blast. As for new Pokemon that I really like, if we're talking DLC, Kubfu is hilarious. His little story. I know he's legendary in a way, so that's might be a cheapskate answer. But Kubfu's hilarious. I really liked Wooloo's adorable. Grookey is great. Oh yeah, that's the first thing. This is my first grass starter. I tried Rowlet and Sun and Moon, but like I said, I only really grazed the surface there with that game. Grookey's been a blast. Corviknight's pretty cool looking. Man, I hate how you can forget like all these things when somebody asks you, like just that pressure moment, I guess you could say. Man, why am I blanking so hard? I got honestly thinking back to my team. I don't know if I really used anybody new. Like obviously I used Rillaboom, aka Grookey's evolved form. I did use Corviknight. The rest of my team when I went up to League was, so I had Rillaboom, Corviknight, I had Alakazam, I had Machamp, I had Arcanine. Did I say Dragonite? Rillaboom, Corviknight, Arcanine, Alakazam, Machamp, Dragonite. Dragonite is the last one. Under pressure, exactly. So that was my ensemble. Yeah, I guess we'll stick with Grookey and Rillaboom. I mean, Thwacky's great too. So I guess that would be my favorite of the next gen. I just can't think of anybody really that stood out to me newer. Like I said, as you can tell by my team, I only had the two. Which, I mean, from personally speaking, makes sense. Your starter on your last team. And then I always had the bird, whoever it was, whether it's Pidgeot, whether it was, who was in Gen 3 that I used? Oh, Swellow, I think was the name. I used them. X and Y, I'm blanking on who the bird was in that one, but I used them as well on the team. Was it Talonflame with Fletchling? I used them. Yeah, so they kind of fit into those spots for what I personally have. Dragonite was a new one. I usually don't have him on the team. I will usually have Alakazam or Kadabra because I didn't have the trading capability. Machamp was a new one this time. Usually I have Graveler or Golem, but I don't know if Geodude's in this game, unfortunately. I have not seen one, whether it was base game or DLC, so kind of sad about that. And that's the thing, too. I thought by the time the second DLC came out, we'd have all the Pokemon. I don't think we do at this point. I don't know if they plan on releasing more DLC. It's up in the air there. So, let's see. I think those are my usual go-tos. I don't think I had anybody else. Staraptor's the best bird. He was a cool one. Starly. Was that Gen 4? I know you were asking about Gen 4 remakes earlier. I didn't play a lot of Diamond and Pearl. I think I might have borrowed a friend's once and played it. I know a lot of people have a lot of love for Gen 4. I mean, it would make sense. They've remade Kanto, Yellow Boost Red. They've remade Silver and Gold with Heart Gold and Soul Silver. They've remade Ruby and Sapphire with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So, I mean, it makes sense. I'd be fine with it. I wouldn't, it wouldn't cause me to play it, but I'd be happy, obviously, for all those people who do want it. So if it's a thing, cool. I mean, why not? It's 25th anniversary of Pokemon's, right? I think it's 25. Yeah. So, I mean, they're doing some things already. They got Pokemon Snap coming out in a couple months, that remake and new game. So that'd be cool. Let's see a Pokemon Stadium remake or remaster. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's my basic thoughts on Sword and Shield. Like I said, I know we were late to the party, but I just wanted to kind of gush over it and share my thoughts about it, how I thought it was a great game and all those things that they did change while it was different and I wasn't used to it or like expecting it with the old games. Like, oh, things used to be this way, like that. It was interesting having that like semi-nostalgia trip of like, oh yeah, it used to be this way, but now it's this way and it works and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was a fun game. Fun time overall. Like I said, I still have the post game story to explore of getting that game's legendary and dealing with those villains at that point. And then I haven't really done the Crown Tundra DLC all that much. I think, or not Crown Tundra. Crown Tundra's done with Kung Fu. I think we're wrapped up with that. There's one other thing I need to do, but I think that's post game story that I need to beat first, then to do that. But Frozen Tundra is the one I have not really explored. So interested to keep playing and seeing more of that. So even after the 70 to 80 hours, it's like, nah, I still want to keep playing this game. So I'm glad it's like that. It's not like, okay, cool, let's just put that over there and be done with it. It was a good experience overall. And if you do enjoy Pokemon, if you do have a Switch, if it's on sale, I mean, I would definitely recommend it, especially for those times where, like, if you have time to just zone out. I mean, I've talked about it before, like, that was a thing I always did. Just put something on TV as noise and then just relax on the couch and play some Pokemon. Space out a little bit. So, yeah, if you're a Pokemon fan and you haven't played it, I recommend it. So, moving on to topic 3. This is the spoiler section. So, we're talking WandaVision. We're talking episode 1 and 2. If you haven't seen WandaVision, this is your time to peace out. Thanks for hanging out. See you later. We were talking full spoilers of WandaVision, full thoughts, full guesses, hypotheses. I don't know. We're talking all of it. Overall, I thought it was okay. But yes, this is your time to leave. See ya. If you did see it, please, once we get a little bit into the conversation with it, I want to kind of chat with you guys, see what you guys think. Feel free to share your thoughts in there. See if maybe we had some different thoughts on it. And if you're not a Marvel fan and you don't care, cool, stick around. But yeah. All right, so now we're talking about WandaVision. So I watched this as of recording. Started maybe an hour and a half ago. No, 2 hours ago, because I had a few minutes in between. So it's fresh in my brain. Am I still going to forget things? Oh, hell yeah. But it's fresh in my brain. Overall thoughts when seeing this series. Going into it, we knew it was going to have that 50s style, older aesthetic of like how they're going to present it, which I was fine with. Watching it, it's not bad. I'm just intrigued, maybe is the right word, of like why they decided to present it this specific way. It's not that the story is bad. It's not that the episodic, like, this is our problem of the week type thing is bad. It's just, I don't know. It wasn't like, not edge of my seat, but I feel like other series that I've watched, you're more in tune or attentive to what's going on, if that makes sense. Dropping frame. So I'm just, I don't know, confused, I guess, in that way of like, it's not bad. I just wasn't keyed in. I don't know. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say. I think the really appealing part of this series is going to be how this interweaves with everything. And also what's the bigger picture here? So, as we know, or what we can perceive from trailers and announcements in the series. Wanda is now dealing with Vision being dead, and this is her way of coping with it. Originally, I think a lot of us thought, like, this is going to be her mental state. Like, she's produced this fake world where her and Vision can live happily together in her head. And, like, she's chosen this as her reality, essentially, I guess. Through the 2 episodes that have been out so far, obviously we see at the very end of episode 1 that this TV show that they're presenting to the audience is also being presented or watched by an outside force, which is like monitoring Wanda, it seems. The symbol on the notepad, the little circle and the line down the center, did look similar, or familiar rather. I don't know what that's from. So it's going to be interesting seeing how this outside force ties in with what's going on into her psyche, if that's what this is, or wherever she is, whatever she's dealing with. And then also leading to the question as to why is this force monitoring her or watching her or experimenting her or blah, 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 etc. So I think that's the most interesting part of this series and why I'm going to keep watching. As for the content itself, I'm like, it's got a little bit of a disconnect. Like, once again, not a bad thing. I don't think anything here is wrong or bad, or I can be like, it's a shitty show. No, it's missing that disconnect for me. I don't know why, just how it is. The series overall, how the actors are portraying and acting, I think everything has been entertaining so far. Vision, obviously, pretending to be a normal human being and trying to cover up as much as he can. And then Wanda dealing with, life and also doing these things, whether it's prepping for a big dinner or dealing with the neighborhood stuff or whatever it is. It's interesting seeing them deal with these problems. I'm curious to know, there's a couple times it seems like Wanda realizes this is a fake scenario and she's trying to maintain control of it and like shut out the outside world. And what I mean by that, not talking about that outside force that we talked before, but at the end of episode 1, you have Vision's boss choking. And you can kind of see her break, like realizing something is wrong. And she stops it, like she tells Vision to fix it, save the guy from choking, which works out all fine and dandy. But she realizes that. And then episode 2, at the very, very end, she kind of rewinds time back to fix the scenario she's living in. So it's interesting, like, why that happens. The effect when Vision phases through his neck is the normal effect too, as opposed to the fake bewitched effect. What? Oh, okay, yeah. You mean like the presentation of how they're doing it, like at the start of episode 1, how everything was very hokey? You mean like that presentation? Because I knew, like, obviously they present it pretty well early on of the phasing abilities, if you didn't remember from the movies, how he can change his density and either go through objects or become a harder object. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, how they presented that. Yeah, if you watch when he walks through the furniture, little stars and stuff, that's good. Yeah, okay, that's a good point, Jeff. I'm glad you were able to watch it, by the way. That's a really good point. I did not pick up on that, how it does that. And that part's just like the movie. Right. Huh, okay. So yeah, it's not this fake world. It's more real in that way. Reminded you of Bewitched. Yeah, it definitely has that presentation aspect. Like I said, right off the bat with episode 1, how they do the dishes and stuff, like they purposely made it look mysterious or whatever, or not mysterious, purposely made it look aged, I guess. I don't understand why she's magical now. She's always had the hex powers are very, at least in the comics, they're very open-ended, I guess you could say. She's able to do quite a bit, and they've limited. She eats. I don't know why the fridge was empty. Yeah, that was weird. I mean, Vision doesn't because he's a robot. But yeah, it's always been very open-ended. I think how they treated it in the movies, it's like a progression thing of like how she's learning her powers or maybe expanding on what she's able to do. So maybe that's why they're kind of growing on like the abilities over time of what she's able to do and perform. So yeah, it's interesting, like to know or to think about, like, is she doing this herself? Like we thought early on of this fake reality to escape this unfortunate event with Vision dying, or is it this other aspect of this outside force doing this to her or making this for her? It's strange because my thinking right now is she's in control because she was able to fix the situation episode 1, and she's able to fix this situation episode 2 with the man outside. It's confusing. So there's that. Also, something it was nice to see the little the Easter eggs, as G points out with Hydra. You had the commercials in between. You had the Stark toaster, and you also had the Hydra, the Baron Strucker watch, which was interesting. Pretty sure it's a sword logo in there. Okay, was that the circle and the line? Was that sword? Because like I said, I thought it looked familiar, but I couldn't match it. If it is sword, that's gonna add. Interesting. Okay, if it is sword, it's interesting. Now, if those of you guys don't know sword, it does go with shield, but it's like more of their space program from the limited knowledge I know. I think. So if that's the case, it's interesting why sword/shield would be monitoring her. Now, the thing I could think of is the loss of Vision has affected her so much. Obviously, we didn't see in the movie. She seemed pretty low-key at Stark's funeral. But then again, she got dusted. So she literally came back. Big war going on with Thanos. She rages on him. The events of Endgame transpire. She does the funeral. Like, this is the aftermath of all of that. So maybe she's finally has the time, now that she's not dusted, and she's back in reality of, like, realizing, okay, lost my brother ages ago. Now I lost the love of my life. And, like, yeah, it's dealing with that. So maybe something happened with her. She freaked out, or Strange or somebody saw that, and they're like, okay, we gotta try and cradle this. Which, if that is the case, that could bite them in the ass for sure. Seems to have the Mind Stone back. Yeah, I thought they were playing on that joke of like he was hiding it with his brimmed hat. The reason I think he has the Mind Stone back, I think that was just like that's the last. Well, I mean, that's how she knew him, obviously. So I was thinking like that's how they're going to portray him. Either it's her herself going to portray him, or the outside force is going to portray him as she knew him. So that would make sense as to why he still has the Mind Stone. I don't think it's literally the Mind Stone. I think it's just how he is presented. So yeah, if it is them trying to coddle her, or whatever it is, I can only see that going bad. It's going to be interesting, the voice on the radio in episode 2. I was very curious as to who that was. I tried my best to like figure out if it sounded familiar. Doctor Strange was the only one that came to mind, but that also might have been me just like what's the word where you like force things because you're thinking of it at that point. What's up?
Projecting.
Thank you. Projecting it. I thought I might have been projecting that it was Doctor Strange, but I don't think that was him. I don't think that was Cumberbatch. So because then, okay, if the radio thing is someone trying to save her, then this outside force either is bad, or if it's Sword, maybe it's trying to get her out of this kind of state that she's in. Maybe she put herself in like a coma kind of thing. It's supposed to lead into Doctor Strange and Multiverse of the Madness. Yeah, I know she's in it. I know she's confirmed for that. So it has to tie in. Well, it's going to lead into it. It has to tie in at some point. So, yeah, I wasn't sure if the radio voice was Strange or whatever. But once again, I wasn't sure if I was just outwardly projecting that because he was on the mind. Quickly touch on the B guy. Who the fuck is the B guy that we rewound in episode 2? It's like, what? That was weird. The beekeeper. Is that a Hive reference? Or AIM? I don't know. Probably not. Along with episode 2, we learned about we didn't learn about it, but we got this color, the things of color entering the world, which I thought were just supposed to be like elements of the outside world seeping into this imaginary world. But at the very end of episode 2, obviously we see everything comes to life and colorful and stuff. So it's like, okay, is it her slightly breaking and coming back to reality? There's so many questions, which obviously we won't know for a while, but it's like, how does this thing make sense? Or what's the storytelling you're trying to tell me here? The Lady of Color didn't know who she was, so she is a plant. Oh, you mean the woman that helped at the talent show? How she's like, oh, I'm new to the neighborhood too. Okay, so maybe keep an eye on her. I think presentation-wise, there's a time skip going on. First episode was very Bewitched in the 50s. Second episode's going to be more 60s. Okay. I mean, we've seen that in the trailer too, that there's these elements of color and story. She seemed confused on how to say her name. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point of watching her. I'm also very curious about Agnes, I think is her name. The best friend that lives, seemingly best friend that lives next door. Like, is this supposed to be like a Peggy Carter situation with Captain America? Like, we're easing you back into reality and she's actually like an agent? Or somebody like real? Agatha, thank you. Sorry. Or Agnes. Okay, it's one of them. Like, is she a real person that's trying to get into it? I don't know. There's a lot of, like, I know I'm circling back, but going back to the dinner, like, it seems like this is not Wanda's doing. Because how they ask, like, when did you get married? Why don't you have kids? Blah, blah, blah. When'd you move, etc.? Where'd you come from? Like, there's these answers that aren't present, obviously, aren't a thing. And she gets really concerned, it seems like, why don't I know these things? So it's either it's a fake world for her, or well, it's based on the 50s, so everybody was a housewife. What?
Hate it.
What? Okay, well, I'm just saying, think of the time. Like, most of the time, if you were the woman, you stayed at home and you took care of the kids. So they're just putting it, like, if this is supposed to be the 50s, that's how it is. So I think that was what they were saying. Plays Agnes. Yeah, you had it mixed up. Okay. So yeah, like, obviously all these answers are not there, not present. So she seems like she's like breaking. Oh, okay. If I'm thinking the same thing your person you're thinking of, Jeff, it's would it be Doctor Strange, like the woman, the assistant? Ooh, what is her name? I only know her from fucking Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1. If so, interesting. That's true. Your role is to be a good wife. Make 5-course meals and shit. Okay, that could be interesting. Okay, so maybe that's their little tie-in there. Okay. Trying to think if there's anything I left out. I don't know. Overall, these 2 episodes have been very, like I said, confusing. Like I said, presentation-wise, I don't know if it just doesn't connect with me in certain ways, but it's these mystery elements of like who's pulling the strings and how is this gonna wrap in and connect that have me intrigued. Now, my concern as we start going past Endgame, my concern is for audiences. Now, I'm thinking of a more general audience, but that kind of, I don't know if, I don't mean that to sound derogatory, but clearly as these movies have come out, these Marvel movies, if you're interested in them and you're really interested in them, you've probably followed up with some type of research afterwards, whether it was investing in comics or investing in just like researching online, like learning more about these things, right? So I would think that post Endgame, a lot of these products that they're releasing are very fan service, if that makes sense. Like, okay, you're a comic book fan, Secret Invasion, you love that story, so we're going to make a Secret Invasion series. Hey, you like House of M, which is a Marvel mutant story. That's kind of what we're kind of not really getting with WandaVision, but it has elements of it. Here, this is for you. Like, with it being very fan servicey, maybe it's just these TV series that are fitting that. I'm concerned that things are going to get so confusing or convoluted that it's either A, not going to make it interesting, or B, like everybody's just going to hate it. Like another series that's eventually going to happen, the Loki series. I don't know when it drops. That Loki is not the Loki from the movies. It's the Loki that we saw in Endgame that was part of the first Avengers, but he escaped, and now he's this. So now, like, we have this separate Loki. It's still, Kate's looking at me already lost.
This is why I don't try and get into these, because who the fuck knows what's going on?
Well, B, look at Game of Thrones in you. That's a whole web, too.
Well, yeah, but it's one consistent universe where the characters...
True, yes. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right now, is like, with us dealing with A, either multiple universes, or B, multiple timelines, we already have the Multiverse of Madness being a movie title, and the Spider-Man 3 rumors flying off the fucking handle. Is it going to get so confusing and convoluted that everything just turns into a shit show? It's concerning. MCU has been very good at adapting stories from comics while adjusting enough to make it palatable for the general, non-nerd populace. Yes, 100%, Jeff. Which, I have faith in Feige and I have faith in that team. For sure. It's just, I just want to voice my concerns and my fears. I'm not doubting them in any capacity. I'm just, it's one of those things you're not going to know until it's like you're past it kind of thing. So that's just me. Fair enough. Making multiple universes version of characters, etc., just a cash grab coming from someone who hasn't seen any of these, so take it for what you will. Yeah, I can understand that for sure. Like, right now, there's only that one character that is a separate timeline or a separate person, the Loki character. There's no guarantee that he's making it back into the movies, etc. It could just be like, this is what Loki's doing, dun, 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 TV series. It's his own separate thing. I don't know what's going on with Doctor Strange and the multiverses. If these Spider-Man rumors are to be true, apparently we're going to have multi-Spider-Man, but there were so many rumors flying off the handle that I'm like, I don't know what to believe, and I'm just going to watch the movie when it happens. You know? It could just be the comic book fan just throwing everything at the wall. Like, it could be this, it could be this. And then, none of it happens. So, I don't know. Because, yeah, they have, like Jeff has said, they've been very good at adapting certain stories. Look at Civil War. Civil War comic is nowhere near Civil War movie, and vice versa. It takes a general concept, and they changed it and modified with what they had. And both are good. Both are fantastic. You did not have the however many issues and books of comic book Civil War. You didn't have all those characters. Obviously, we didn't have mutants involved. We didn't have this and that and the other thing. We didn't have Peter Parker saying his identity. You had the movie version, and we luckily enough got Spider-Man, thanks to the graces of God. But, we didn't have mutants. We didn't have the fucking fake-ass Thor breaking shit. We didn't have... or fake Thor killed a guy. We didn't have these characters to use, so they made it and adapted it to something different, and it was good. So I think that's the same thing with Secret Wars, like Secret Invasion, excuse me. Secret Invasion's not going to be the comic book one. They're just taking, I think from what I know, is Nick Fury and Talos from Captain Marvel, or Miss Marvel, and doing some kind of buddy cop thing with them. So it's like, okay, it'll be something different, and I'm fine with that. Because, like, if it was just a point-to-point retelling of a story, yeah, it'd be cool, but is it that interesting? I kind of like this mystery aspect of, like, it's fresh, it's new, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Ooh, there's a lot going on. I don't know. And this is just the start of Phase 4. Like, we still don't have the Black Widow movie out, sadly. Like, obviously, that's backstory, so hopefully that doesn't add too many punches out of nowhere. I think the only thing that will be coming from that is Taskmaster still around, and we're establishing him. Maybe Black Widow's getting replaced, which I think is dumb. But, whatever. It's going to be interesting to see, obviously, how this continues to play out week by week. One more episode. And then, Marvel stuff all ties into each other. So, like Jeff mentioned earlier, it'll be interesting to see how it ties into Doctor Strange's movie. It's going to be interesting to see how the other series play out and if they tie in or directly go, like we talked with the Loki one, does it directly do it or is it just his own side story? I don't know. I wanted to circle back. I started bringing it up, but I talked about the things of color, thinking it was the real world. Was the helicopter that dropped in, that was a Stark one too. So I'm interested why Stark has shown up twice. We got the Hydra thing. I don't know if there were other Easter eggs of like different things popping up. We do have, obviously, Wanda's pregnant now out of nowhere, so we'll be chasing that. I assume the kids will be either next episode or soonish, so we'll have that to play with. If anybody knows the events of House of M, it's essentially Wanda goes crazy and makes a world that is only mutants. And the reason she did that is because it gets convoluted like all comics, but she had kids with Vision. It turns out the kids were just fake illusions, and she broke because they were fake and they died. Like, they were taken away from her. So if they are going to do that with the kids, once again, this is going to be a bad situation for whoever pulls her out of this. I was just saying, Jeff, we had obviously the two Stark references. We had the toaster, we had the helicopter, and then we had the Baron Strucker Hydra watch. I was just saying, I don't know if there's any other Easter eggs I might have missed or signs or whatever. They talked about Sokovia, I guess, which is where she lived. I just talked about the kids. Sword logo on 3 objects. Yeah, I saw it on 2, if that's the logo. So there was the little brochure pamphlet manila folder when we came out of the first episode, and then the second one, I think it was episode 2. I'm blanking. Was that on Beekeeper's uniform? For the Children. Yeah, that was a weird cult thing. I thought that was just like a hiccup in whatever reality this was. Is that supposed to represent something? For the Children? That was weird. It circles back to Mrs. G's point with the talent show like coordinator lady. She didn't do the For the Children thing either. Like she said, "Oh, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to disrupt or whatever." So, monitoring the first episode, yeah, I saw it on the Manila folder. There was the okay, it was on the helicopter toy and the beekeeper. Okay, gotcha. Double checked. There aren't any kids in any scene. Oh, that's a good point. No kids. No one will question her pregnancy and her being so pregnant. Well, I think that was so they had the gag with them getting together in the beginning of episode 2. But I think that might have I think the pregnancy and how she got pregnant so fast is once again part of whoever's in control, whether it's her doing this to herself or the outside force. I don't know. I just assumed it was the mystical aspect, so I didn't question it. Bless you. Another thing, this is a random thought. Did their house change from episode 1 to 2? I was like, this layout is completely different. I wasn't sure if it was just a different perspective that we were seeing or whatever, but I was like, that's odd. The interior. It did. Okay, then I'm not going crazy. Okay, I was just like, what the fuck? We're just going to change houses every episode? All right, first episode was very Dick Van Dyke. Okay, all right. The color, yep. He had the color show up. We had the helicopter first. We had the blood after the broken glass, which the lady also just ignored and blew off. And then obviously the end of them changing everything. The red of the blood. You might still be going crazy though, probably. Oh yeah, the beep. Right, that's a good point. Yeah. They even in the commercial they seemed like not out of it, but like concerned at certain points. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, like I said, where the series goes from here. It's going to be rough going back to week episodes. The people in the commercials were the same too? Really? I'll have to go back and watch or check that out. I know it was the man and the woman, obviously in the first one. The second one was the watch. Did we see their faces? I'm assuming we did if you're saying they're the same people. Maybe I just kind of blanked out on that. If so, is this outside force like interjecting these commercials, which is weird, into Wanda's psyche of like, this is a TV show that you're living? Escape realism? That just adds another puzzle piece. Huh. Alright, maybe it's worth a rewatch. Maybe I'll have to rewatch it and see if I can pick up anything the second time through. A little bit more. How do we know which day it'll be on? I think it's releasing every Friday. Like Friday early. So Thursday into Friday. So 3 a.m. Eastern, I think they drop.
Why is it released at such a weird time?
Because it's 12 midnight, California.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, Friday's new episodes will be out. Yep. This is the only double episode, so don't get excited. It'll be one episode from here. Could also be pulling from the more recent Vision comic as opposed to House of M. Okay. Yeah, my comic knowledge is very limited. I've read here and there, but I sadly do not. The most in tuned I got into comics was when they were doing Secret War 2 with all the different branching storylines. I don't think they're here, but I have a bunch of different of those 5-issue runs. They were a lot of fun. Vision literally tried to have a family, a nice house in the suburbs. That makes sense. I mean, they pull from everything. It's impressive. They know their stuff. They're very in tune. Oh boy. But yeah, excited to see more. Excited to keep talking with you guys about it. I don't know I don't know if I'll keep doing this on podcasts because obviously we're gonna get guests on. But maybe I'll interject a fourth topic. Okay, we're talking about episode 3 and 4 now. We're talking about 5 and 6. I don't know if I'll keep up with this on podcast, but maybe, because this was a good conversation with you guys, especially those of you who watched it. Hopefully those of you guys who didn't watch it are just like Kate over there, like, what the fuck? Yeah, but hopefully you're entertained. That's the main thing. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah. Yep. Well, I appreciate everybody hanging out. This has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma9011. Appreciate you guys watching and listening to the podcast today. If you want to catch it live, like Jeff, Mrs. G, New York to SoCal, Lady in Wonderland, Acario, all did today. You can join over on twitch.com/Enigma9011 every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about random topics for you. You can join in the chat, have some fun with us. If you can't catch it live, that's okay. It's put over on YouTube and SoundCloud the following week, where it's either broken topic by topic or put as one big video or MP3 the following Friday for your amusement. Last but not least, merch store. You can get all of your swag over there, t-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand, support us. It would be greatly appreciated. Viewers, listeners, chat, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, talking about stuff, having a good time. We will see you guys on the next one. Take care.